Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is day 2 of 100 days machine learning project and today we are diving into an awesome machine learning project building a system that can recognize handwritten digits like a 7 or a 3 using the MNIST dataset and convolutional neural networks or what we all call CNNs. So as we all know, MNIST dataset is a very normal and very highly used data set, like in the starting when you're starting learning about machine learning or artificial intelligence. MNIST data set always comes up because it has a very good tendency regarding the image recognition. This data set is the first data set that a professor or a student can use to understand like how CNN works, how the images are recognized, how like pooling layer works, how layers work in the CNN. So whether you are new to AI or a coding enthusiast, so I will break it down step by step with full analogies and visuals by the end. But you will so that you will understand how to make a computer read your handwriting. Okay, so ready? Let's jump in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more tech tutorials. So let's start. So, what's this project about? Let me give you a small introduction and why this is important, what this dataset actually contains. So now let's go to, understand that MNIST dataset digits are basically 0 to 9 digits, which have an image of, what we can say 0 to 9, a paper, just a blank sheet, and a handwritten number like 0 or 1 or 2 or 9. And on that, we are going to give those images to our network. We are going to train our convolutional neural network to, you know, to predict like what this number is actually about. So we are going to train it so that if we give a new image of any number, of a handwritten number, it will tell us like this number is this. So now I will tell you, so what are we building? So I will tell you now. So imagine you scribble a digit, say a 7, on a piece of paper, and you want a computer to figure it out what that number is. So that's what this project does. We are using MNIST dataset, a collection of 70,000 handwritten digit images, 60,000 for training and 10,000 for testing. Each image is a tiny 28 by 28 grayscale picture, like a mini sketch of a digit. So our goal for that is like train a convolutional neural network, that is CNN, a type of neural network that's great at understanding images, to predict which digit is in each image. Think of it as a teaching a computer to be, to be a handwriting detective. Like, okay, you can write something and it can detect, okay, this is this written, or this can also be used when you are writing notes in your images, writing notes, and if you want to save it, you can give that to your convolutional neural network. It will scan, it will take out the data from it, and you can, copy paste it and use it. This is a very, very good example of how why we are doing this project, because we know there are a lot of, applications, and even from, I use an iPhone. So in iPhone, if you have an image and if there is some text, so you can just select that text, you can copy that text, and you can use it anywhere. So maybe they're using that image recognition or CNN. I still have to dive that into like what exactly the technology that they are using, but like this is a step that you can build something on it. So now let's start with the pre-processing of image, because as we all know now, you have the data set, but you have to make it, compatible for the machine to learn, to understand, and to process it. So before that, we need to do pre-processing. It's, for an analogy, you can say that if you're going to cook any, so before that you have to pre-process the vegetables, for example, like clean them, cut them into pieces before cooking it, like chop them into like how bite size it is, and then you cook it, right? You do not put a raw potato like that in a stove and expect it to cook like that. So there are some pre-processing that needs to be done so that the machine can understand the image, the information that you are passing it. So now showing let's I will now and dive right into here's what we do with the MNIST like images that we have. Is first we do normalization. If a lot of people don't know what normalization is just to go through a whole thing. So let me explain to you why, how we do it and why it is necessary. So what we will do, each pixel in an MNIST data image has a value of 0 to 255. That is a pixel image from like 0 that is black and 255 that is white. So we divide these values by 255 to scale them from a range of 0 to 1. So because these now we are dividing 250, if it is a white pixel, if it is a white spot, then it will go into like 255 by 255 will be 1. That is, we are decreasing those pixel values to from the range to 0 to 1 so that we can normalize those pixel and understand like and it will be easy for the machine to understand. And because 255, if I'm giving large values, so it will take a lot of time for a machine to understand and and process it can be expensive and intensive computation for the machine. So we just make sure that you normalize your bigger values so that it's easier. For example, it's like turning down the brightness of a super bright photo so the CNN does not get overwhelmed, like okay, it's too bright, so it might not be able to analyze it that much properly. The image looks the same, but the numbers are easier for the model to handle. So after that, what we can do, we have decreased the pixel values by dividing it by 255. We are going to reshape the image. The images start as 28 by 28 grids, but CNNs need a specific format, a 4D tensor that includes the number of images, heights, weights, and channels. Since MNIST data images are grayscale, like grayscale is like zero, like it will be from white to black. It is not like red, green, something like that. So it is like white or black picture, we can say, but it has a gray image also. So it's the color range from white to black. So, since MNIST images are grayscale, they have like one channel. So, we reshape the data to stack all images into a format like 60,000 images, because as we told that we are going to use 60,000 images for training and 10,000 for testing. So, we will stack all images into a format like by 28 by 28 pixels and by 1 is the grayscale image, because we are telling them that it is a grayscale pattern. Now I can make you understand by think of it as organizing a pile of digit sketches into a neat stack, each labeled as grayscale. Which so that helps, how it helps, like animation of like a single 28 by 28 image stacking into a 3D block with like one channel tag added, like we are just adding a tag that it is a grayscale image. And then what we are doing the label encoding of the of the target values. That is, these images come with like there is an image of written like number 7, and there will be a target value of the digit 7 that will tell you that this image, this handwritten image is of that number, that the number 7. So these what we do, the labels like 7 for the digit are converted into one hot encoded vector. So 7 becomes a list of 10 numbers where the seventh spot is 1. So for example, if we have a 3 digit, three handwritten image, 3 digit handwritten image, then the hot and one hot encoding will be for that particular vector will be like 001 000 till and following seven zeros, six zeros for that. So whatever the number will be, like whatever that value will be of that image of the handwritten value digit will be, we will be using that, converting that particular zero into one, and apart from all those values will go to zero. because a handwritten image of any digit can be that digit, or it will be like nothing. It can be not like 3 as well as 4, right? So it can be only 3. So this is how what we do the label encoding. So these all comes under the part of you know the pre-processing of the data. And now I will explain to you like what how we are doing this. So we are saying here that we how we normalize the data set, the pixels from 20 to 1, how we are reshaping it and converting the labels to categorical. And here we are using the one hot encoding to convert them into the that value that I told, like 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 for three, for a digit of three, or for a target value of three. So now we will dive into like how CNN works. So what is let me explain you how CNN works. CNN is a convolutional neural network, is like a team of detectives analyzing a treasure map. Like a digit image, what it will do, it to find a clue if treasure map, and it will have a that image, and to find the clues that reveal what digit it is. So basically, at the end, the treasure is like which digit is it? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5? And what they will do, like each layer in CNN has a specific job. Let's like walk through the layers in our model. So first we will move through convolutional layers, convolutional 2D. These are the feature detectives. They use 3 by 3 filters. Think of them as a tiny magnifying glass that slide over an image to find patterns like edges, lines, or curves. For example, one filter might spot the vertical stroke of 7, and while the another catches the horizontal bar of that same digit. So in our code, the first convolutional layer has 32 filters, creating 32 feature maps, each showing where specific patterns appear. Later layers have 64 filters to detect more complex shapes like parts of the digit. The ReLU activation function is like a highlighter. It emphasizes strong matches and ignores weak ones. So if you want to know more about an more about the ReLU function, what this activation function is, so you can think about the activation function is like a neuron in your brain. When you are thinking about something, some of the neurons got activated, some of the neurons get do not get activated. So for the ReLU layer, ReLU activation function, what it does is like if there is a negative value, if there is a negative response coming after this layer, there might be a chance that the learning is not that great and there is a negative response, so it will convert it into 0. And for positive response remains the same. So how the values goes is like for the formula of this ReLU activation function is max of 0 or x is the input of that layer or input that we are getting, and it will give the function like, okay, this is going to be x if it is positive. If it is not positive, then we are getting 0. So this is how it is, like how ReLU function works. So now let's move to the pooling layer, like max pooling 2D. These layers summarize the feature maps to make them smaller and more manageable. A 2 by 2 pooling window looks at a small region and picks the strongest value, like summarizing a page of notes by keeping only the key points. This reduces the size, say from 26 into 26 to 13 into 13, and makes the model less sensitive to small shifts in the digit. So you have to understand that why pooling layer matters. Convolutional layer extracted the features. It said that okay, this is the first stroke, or the vertical stroke or horizontal stroke of a digit 7, and then you need a pooling layer to make sure that okay, what is the significant thing, because ma- like convolutional layer is giving a lot of extracted features. Pooling layer will determine like okay, which of the extracted features is more important and needs to be focused more on. So it will shrink it to 13 by 13 with more extracted, more bright spots of that. So it is like there's a book, convolutional layer is taking creating us this big page of converting the highlight points, extracting the main characters and main storyline of that features. And pooling layer is a highlight of that, highlight of that page, or highlight of that notes that needs to be done. And if you can see, if you want a very real analogy, I will tell you. If you're watching a match, maybe of tennis, maybe of cricket, so there is a whole match of like 3 hours. So you watch it, you are very much excited. So when I'm telling to someone, the other person, a convolutional layer work, okay, these were the extracted features, that was important, that was important. And pooling layer will be like, calculating just the highlighted portions of the whole match. So from there, it is, you see, for 3 hours, the maybe the highlights are of just 5 minutes or 6 minutes, or maybe 10 to 15 minutes. This is how it is decreasing. You select a lot of things, and you select, and then you these are the important factors. So now we will move to the dense layer, that is the flattening and dense layer. After the convolutional and pooling layer, we flatten the feature maps into a single long list, like laying out all the cues in a row. The dense layer, think of them as the head detectives. Analyze these clues to decide which digit it is. The final layer has 10 nodes, one for each digit, and shows and uses a softmax function to output probabilities. Like, I am 95% sure this is a 7 digit, or I am 90% sure, 5% sure that I have a 3 digit or 7 digit. So this is how these all the layers work. So let me just go through, make you understand in the code. So these are this, and you can see that how these activation functions are. And here there is a dropout also. Some dropouts, what they will do, there will be some neurons that will be dropped out during this process, so that they can learn randomly, because we don't want to give the same images back to the model. There might be new images, new data, where we want to predict where we want the prediction done. So for that, just to make learning more intuitive for the model, we drop out some of the neurons at random and make sure that it's learning properly some of the features. If they are not there, if they're missing, how well a model is able to learn. So this is very important. And I have already discussed like how the things are, like softmax. If you want to understand the softmax function, it's like, if you are getting all the features, like, okay, and with some numbers, so what it will do, it will calculate e to the power of every feature that I have got, and divide the sum of all that. So it will, like, the whole this everything will be like the sum will be like 1. So what will happen in this, like, it will generate probabilities. Like, if a number is 7, if it is 95% there, so there might be a chance that 5% it is saying that that number might be 2. So the number with the highest extracted features, with having the highest features, like, okay, it looks more like towards 7, will get highest probability. And this is how it is predicted and given as an output. Okay, okay, there is a 95% chance this is a 7, so we are going to take the highest probability, and we will say that our prediction says that this handwritten digit is 7. So this is how it is. This convolutional neural network actually works, from taking an image to going through, sliding a window of 3 by 3 to extract features like shapes, curves, lines. That is convolutional layer that happens. Then you go to max pooling layer, where all the extracted features from convolutional neural networks are highlighted, and only bright spots, or highlighted sections are taken. And then after that, a dense or a flattening layer is done, so that all the features are in the same array, or a you if to just to understand, you can say that they are in the same format. And then softmax activation function is applied on those values to generate the probabilities of how this probability are, and prediction is done, and output is, output of the prediction is generated on the base of that which of the extracted feature, which of the highlighted portion tells us more about the image and how they are being generated. So this is how, so let me tell you how we are doing this and how we are compiling this data. So for the training, and you understood the how this is working. So to train the model, we feed it like how the training is done. So to train the model, we feed it the 60,000 training images and their labels. We use an optimizer called Adam to adjust the model's weights, minimizing a loss function called categorical cross entropy, which measures how wrong the predictions are. We train for like 5 epochs, passes through the data with a batch size of 64, meaning we process 64 images at a time. Like batch size is like from 60,000 images, 64 will go one, and it will train and it will understand, and then 64 will go once, and then 64 will go once, and this is how the all training is done. The batch size will be like this. So now what we will do, we also set aside 20% of the test training data to check how the model does on unseen images during training. So we are doing validation testing also in this thing. So we are taking out 20% of the training data as well, and we are saying, see, we are training on the 80%, and we are checking that okay, how, because model has not seen those 20%, and now we are checking also like how it is, well, how it is predicting, is it predicting well on those data, on those 20% of the data, is it not predicting that. And after all this is done during the training, and after the training we test it on 10,000 test images, and we typically get an accuracy of 98 to 99%. That means it correctly identifies all digits. So we also plot the training and validation accuracy loss, to see how the model improves. If the lines are close, it means our model isn't overfitting, it's learning to generalize. That I can show you like here. We can see, okay, see, training accuracy started from here, and validation. After a while, they are converging. So that is important. The convergence of those things important. Those thing is important to make you understand that okay, that it is generalizing well. It is not like the validation accuracy should not go down, and training accuracy should not go just directly up, because it will show that it is overfitting. That overfitting means that our model is just learning the training images, and it is not able to predict for the unseen data, or not able to perform well, not able to predict well for the testing images. So that is how, like, those things also we have to consider, because we can change the hyperparameters of this, we can change different variables to make sure. If it is a gradient declining issue, then we can use, instead of ReLU, we can use the leaky ReLU activation function. And we can get on that on in a totally different video. I will be creating one more video regarding the activation functions, to make you understand where activation, which type of activation, and what are the cons and pros of every activation function, and why they are necessary. So this is it. I have shown you how what compile. I have also saved the model so that we can use it again. So this project is awesome because it shows how convolutional neural networks can learn to see patterns in image, just like we do. This the MNIST data set is a great starting point, but you can take this further. Try tweaking the model, add more layers, train for more epochs, or use data augmentation to make it even better. You should also apply like CNNs to other image tasks like recognizing letters or objects, and image classification. Like this image is of a dog or a cat. That is also a very general problem, like a very starting project. A lot of machine learning students during undergrad, I think they go through this problem and they try to implement it. If you want to try this yourself, check out the code in the description. It's written in Python with TensorFlow. Play around with it and let me know your results in the comments. So This is it for now, and I will be, if more visualization you need regarding the CNN only, I can also post a video covering the convolutional neural network, especially for the MNIST data to take an image and then moving forward towards the output. I can do that as well. So just let me know if you need more information from me, if you have any comments for me, if you need. I can also create a small Streamlit app for you to just put the image, and then you can see the prediction how well it is predicting, because I think I'm here sample image I have given, and I'm predicting it, and it is predicting it. Yeah, predicted digit is 7 and digit is 7, so it is predicting very well, as we have also seen in the accuracy is also going good. You can see the validation accuracy is also increasing, and the validation loss is decreasing. Accuracy is increasing from 89, it went to 99, I think, like after the 5 epochs. So this is a very good starting point to understand how convolutional neural network works, and also how image recognition, which is a very I think very important thing and a basic thing that you as a machine learning engineer, a person should know about how to do that. If you want to dive deep into this, you can also move into the field of computer vision, where there are different good fields, and even on the CNN there are a lot of more and better convolutional neural networks are built on that, like ResNet, Mark RCNN, and AlexNet, and like multiple like computer vision algorithms. So if you want me to make a video over that, I am like happy to do that, and hopefully like in the coming weekend I will be doing that as well. So that is it from my side, and thank you for watching this. And hopefully, I think you might have enjoyed this. And please like and subscribe. And we will be coming with day 3 and with a new project and a new, description with the code, with analogies to make you understand, and to help me grow. And I hope I can also help you in some of the fields and making these concepts a little bit easier for you to understand. So that's it. Hit that subscribe button, like happy to have a like and a comment, and thank you so much. Bye bye.